Good afternoon, and thank you everybody for being here today at this time and with this hot weather. It's a pleasure for me to participate in this International Roll Conference with such a high level of participants and piano roll specialists. Thank you very much to the organizers for this opportunity. Okay, the story I will tell today started with our first visit to the Piano Museum in the Hassan headquarters. Hassan, for those of you who don't know this company, is directly related to the history of piano in Spain. The Hassan company and family represents the most important and traditional piano dealers and distributors in our country, and originally, beginning of the 19th century, piano makers. I was visiting their piano museum when a member of the Hassan family talked to me about their piano roll collection. I soon paid attention to that forgotten collection and decided that it would be worth doing something with it. Of course, they appreciate their collection as they've been keeping it for a long time, almost 100 years. But it was not in their plans to do any kind of research with it like the one we've started and we're presenting here today. They offered us, myself and the research group with which I collaborate, Bibliopedia, a first inventory of this collection. This inventory was made some years ago by the pianist, the Spanish pianist Ana Benavides, and it was an important tool to start working with, and we sincerely appreciate this previous work. After a quick look at the collection, we decided to start with the analysis, study, description, and cataloging of all the works contained in the collection. In order to carry out this project, we proposed a bilateral agreement between UCM, our university, represented by our faculty, Documentation and Information Studies, and the Hassan José Schroeder's Foundation. We could finally sign an agreement in November 2021, recently, and the rest of the commitments in January 2022. The collection is made of 489 rolls, most of these in good state of conservation, as I will show you later with different bar charts. To start working, we decided to apply the same criteria and methodology that we had used in previous collections, such as the collection of Zarzuela rolls of our National Library, or the collection of the Fernandez Shaw family, with which I worked in 2017, and we published a catalog. And finally, the Casado García San Pedro, which is the collection that rests in Stanford. And I was very happy to see this morning when one of the members of the Pianola Tron showed one of the Spanish rolls I had the opportunity to catalog, the Pasodoble Flamenco. As he explained, these are metronomic rolls. Maybe they don't fit very well in their pianolatron, but they are there and they have been digitized, and I'm very glad about this. And about this collection, I should also say that there's a book over there that if you want to have a look, Stanford did the online exhibit. It's in their webpage. Everybody can visit that exhibition and listen to the digitized rolls. But when I returned to Spain in the terrible year of 2020, I prepared my hardcover copy book, which I brought today, and it's there for you to see. Okay, so let's continue. I want to show you very quickly the Hassan headquarters. This is their company. In the ground floor, you can see those beautiful pianos that are, of course, for sale. And in the first floor, we can find the Piano Museum. That's the place I was visiting when I encountered this piano roll collection. Here you can find beautiful antique pianos. I'm not going to stop with the pianos now, but around this hall, it's the piano roll collection. Okay, I'm going to make a very brief history of the Hassan family to introduce the collection. Johannes José Schroeder's, please, the Dutch people, I don't know if I'm saying it correctly, but the Johannes José Schroeder's, who is that man on the right side of the slide, Dutch, arrived in Madrid in 1802. The reason that brought Mr. José Schroeder's to Madrid is ignored, but he probably came with the Napoleonic army as a recognized carpenter. He was a wood craftsman and soon started working in the Francisco Fernández workshop, a famous piano maker in those days. Madrid had an important guild organization, which probably helped him in finding a job. He started working with Mr. Fernandez until 1814, when he decided to set up on his own. He started a thriving company as he was recognized by the Piano Guild as a good piano maker and soon stood out in the business. His first workshop in Madrid was located in number 12 Hortaleza Street, the very heart of the city's Piano Builders Guild. We can read his signature, José Schroeder's, engraved on the piano's lead in the first picture over there. Around 1820, Jan asked two of his nephews, Jan and Peter Hassen José Schroeder's, to come to Madrid to join him in the piano manufacturing business. As from that date, the company was known as José Schroeder's and Nephews, José Schroeder's y Sobrinos, as we can read in the central picture. With their arrival, the company started producing an important number of square pianos, and since 1828, they also produced harps, as we can see in the picture. In those days, our king, Fernando VII, and later his daughter, Queen Elizabeth II, promoted fairs and exhibitions related to national industrial products, where inventions in piano were highly praised. The José Schroeder's family presented square pianos at all those fairs and exhibitions, and in all of them, they won prizes and distinctions. In 1830, Johannes José Schroeder's leaves definitely Spain and returns to the Netherlands. It's a moment when the Hassen nephews inherit the workshop and start being known as Pianos Hassen, as we can see in the last picture. Different generations of piano builders have succeeded each other, despite the vicissitudes of the times, and have continued with the piano business up to the present day, although they don't make pianos any longer. The manufacture of the instruments ended with the end of the century. It was precisely then that innovations with player pianos, pianolas, and electric pianos started to become fashionable, and that is where the rest of the stock collection was probably for sale in their store comes from. However, 200 years of history is quite a lot. Today, the 6th generation of the Hassen family continues with the business of selling and distributing pianos and other instruments. And as I said before, the Hassen company represents the story, the history of the piano in Spain. Okay, let's talk about the piano roll collection. Knowing the importance of the piano business, the mechanical pianos and player pianos soon became an important new instrument to be sold in the first years of the 20th century in their store. In fact, Hassen imported the mechanisms of the pianolas, which they then inserted in their pianos for sale and marketing under their name, as we can observe there. They started acquiring piano rolls from all the different Spanish companies, Victoria, Best, Diana, Princesa, and many others that Jordi just mentioned, as well as from others from abroad, the Aeolian Company, the Orchestral Company, the Baldwin Company. We presume that the collection presented today responds to the stock that the Hassen family had in their stores since the beginning of the 1900s. Okay, what was the methodology applied to carry out this research? We divided the work in two periods. The first one started in January 2022 until 30th March. During this period, we received 12 boxes containing 244 rolls that you can see there, labeled and numbered. We decided to organize the material in an orderly way in the office cupboard according to the call number. Then we checked all the rolls. We checked that all the rolls were also included in the given inventory. So to start organizing our new work, we decided to identify and analyze all the rolls following the ISBD consolidated rule together with the Spanish cataloging rules, as we had done in previous works. To do so, we used a specific software, FileMaker Pro 15.0.3, a powerful database in which we would introduce all the information for the final cataloging process. During this process, other members of the group started taking pictures to every single roll so that we could keep the roll image, leaders, labels, boxes, leads, stamps, anything interesting, reportable that appeared in the roll. Here you can see our record. This is how it looks like. And I'm going to try to explain very quickly the information that contains. Of course, author refers to the name of the composer that appears in the roll. Uniform title is a title by which the work is known univocally in all languages. It's always complicated to do this part. Title, the proper title that appears in the roll. Publication, the place, publisher, date of publication. Physical description, the description of the roll, 88 notes, 29 centimeters, we measure in centimeters. Notes, the most interesting field of the record. Here we include all the outstanding aspects of the roll. We also refer to the catalogs, and sometimes we include information about the premiere of the work. If other people have also participated, their names and dates appear here. Everything related with seals or stamps is mentioned in this field. Publication number, the number given by the publisher. For example, Victoria 238. Subject heading, the musical styles or genres, combined with other terms such as excerpt or pianola arrangements. State of conservation, good, bad, fair, whatsoever. And finally, the call number, which was the number given by the owners. Here I want to show you one of our records of a work by Beethoven, where I'm not going to start again with the explanation, but you can see perfectly described each one of the fields that we have filled out, okay? All information perfectly described. Okay, the cataloging process, there I am. Here you can observe how was the work done. Different rolls laid out in my desk, opened, analyzed, and carefully described. This information, all this information was entered into the database records. And the photographic process was very similar. We took pictures, as I told you before, of every single roll, paying attention to the leaders or flaps, labels, stamps, boxes, and any other interesting thing that could appear in the roll. We took around 4 to 6 pictures per roll. These were later organized in different folders according to their call number. We estimate that around 3,000 pictures might have been taken. These are still waiting to be processed using Photoshop. Okay, second part of the research process. During this period, from April to June to now, we received another batch of more than 240 rolls with which we worked as before. The main objectives during this second phase were more concrete and far-reaching. First, try to know more about the owners and their collection. Second, compare again the first inventory and the information provided with the new files that we have already created. Check all the different fields of our records with the main bibliographic sources in order to complete the names of all the composers and works found in the collection. The New Grove Dictionary of Music and Musicians, Diccionario Hispanoamericano de la Música, Diccionario de la Zarzuela, and some more primary bibliographic sources have been essential. And finally, create the right context to place the piano roll collection, compiling and assembling all the documents of the family company, pictures, correspondence, invoices, contracts with piano dealers, piano roll publishers. Okay, let's talk about a little bit about the collection, main features of this collection. As we can observe from the bar chart, a significant number of classical composers are present. Beethoven is mostly represented with 95 rolls, followed by Chopin with 32, Wagner 17, Serrano 15, Vives 12, Mendelssohn 11, Liszt 10, and the rest under this number. There is an important presence of Spanish composers, as was to be expected. In the next bar chart, we can see the publishers. In this case, it's evident, Rollos Musicales Victoria, the first Spanish company located in the village of La Garriga, Barcelona, is the most represented with 225 rolls, followed by Best, 117, and as Jordi said before, their second brand more focused on the Latin American market. The third one, Diana from Madrid with 48. Next one, the Aeolian Company with 46, and finally Princesa with 32 rolls. The rest of the companies are less well represented, under 7 items. The third bar shows music styles or genres present in the collection. The subject heading field has permitted us knowing this. As we can observe, the zarzuela style is the most represented, with 76 roles, followed by piano music, 66, operas, 64, symphonies, 43, most of these by Beethoven, sonatas, 31, concertos, 28, suites, 20, and below that number, the rest of the styles. Finally, we thought that it could also be interesting to show the state of conservation. As we can observe, a great number of them are in good state of conservation, that is 300, followed by fair, 64, very good, 57, bad, 42, excellent, 23, these are almost new, and very bad, just 3 of them. In this last case, they probably got wet, so they have fungus and traces of humidity. Now I want to show you several leaders of Spanish music roles. We have paid attention not only to the flap or leader, I never know which is the term, the exact term of the role, but also to other elements, as I told before, labels, stamps, seals, that provide more information about the roles. Here, I don't know if Joyce is here, but she showed us yesterday or this morning, I'm confused, something about Diana. Diana is a very beautiful company because the typography is very beautiful and the images, but all the others also. Oriental, which is not so present, is also very beautiful, and the other 2 are very common, Victoria and Princesa. But I also want to show you some of the foreigners. Here we have these 2, Aeolian Company and the Orchestral Company in co-edition. The one below, it's the Baldwin Company from Cincinnati, and the last one is the mystery, and I will tell you why. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the people in charge of the National Museum of Cuba, Mrs. Ortega, as well as the Argentine researcher Horacio Asborno, which probably most of you know, for all the information provided about this publishing house, which we believed to be Cuban. Finally, the mystery, I thought, had been unraveled, and everything seemed to indicate by the documents provided by Mr. Asborno that this publishing house was originally from Mexico, because he sent me some images of the boxes, which said hecho en Mexico. So that is, but yesterday or this morning, Mrs. Rebollo, who will talk later, my colleague, sent to me a document of a patent requested by the company in Cuba. What we don't know is if this patent finally had an optimal result or not. So we still don't know if it's Mexican or Cuban or whatsoever, but if somebody please discovers this, let me know. Okay, some curiosities about the roles. Before ending, I would like to show some of the curiosities that make more attractive, at least for me, this collection. I have just chosen 6 examples. The first one is a Beethoven role arranged by Franz Liszt. At first, we were very surprised by this type of intervention, although we have since observed that it is quite common. However, nevertheless, it's always interesting to know that important pianists like Liszt have somehow modified Beethoven's music. And we can read there, fourth movement arranged by Franz Liszt. For me, it was a surprise. Okay. The second case is Maurice Moszkowski's annotation. We can see and read his handwriting, printed, explaining how the role should be played. It's written in French with his signature, and below we can read, the tempo indicated on this roll of music for pianola has been marked by me, and it is the way that this composition should be interpreted. Okay. The third case is one of these Mexican-Cuban roles, we don't know, Pasquale, which corresponds with an artist role. In this case, the author-composer, Moisés Simons, not only plays the role, but stamps his signature. I don't know if you can read it in green over there, over here. We can read his name, Moisés Simons, in the role. It was also a surprise to find this, no? Okay. And the other 3, the fourth role, Capricho Español, Opus 34 by Rimsky, has been arranged for 4 hands by the author, as indicated in the label, transcripción a 4 manos por su autor. The 5th curiosity shown today is the rollo cantor, the singing role, or the vocalist, as I had heard before, by Jacinto Guerrero, which was also quite common And we can read and follow the lyrics in the right side of the punched paper. This roll corresponds to the publishing company, Victoria Popular, very keen in this kind of products. And finally, a sixth and beautiful Aeolian duo art, Air de Ballet by the female composer Cécile Chaminade, played by Clarence Adler. The only duo, well, no, we have 3 duo art in the collection, but it's the only female artist that has that is present in a role. Okay, final results and conclusion. The final descriptive catalog of the whole collection is ready and complete. We expect to publish it together with a complete study in hardcover book and electronic version in the first quarter of 2023, hopefully. We were able to compare some titles of this collection with other ones exactly the same in our National Library. 12 titles matched. This gave us the possibility not only of checking our records, but above all, listening to them. Our National Library has digitized half of their collection, and these recordings are available in their webpage. Regardless of other later documentation that we might find, we are almost convinced that this collection is part of a remnant of the stock that the Hassan Company had in their store during the first third of the 20th century. Music from all over the world can be found, especially European classical composers, but also Spanish repertoire and some compositions from Latin America. Genres like zarzuelas, piano music, symphonies, sonatas, operas, and concertos are in a high number. We can also find an interesting number of tangos, waltzes, operetas, dancing styles like foxtrots, charlestons, couplets, and danzones, typical from Cuba and Argentina. Most of the rolls are in good state of conservation, some of them even excellent, but this does not mean that can be played in a pianola or any other mechanical piano. Hassan family is considering the digitization of some of their rolls in their piano roll collection. Probably this investment, in case they do it, would be helpful for the company to promote the Disklavier piano, the incredible acoustic piano capable of recording and reproducing in the same instrument with high quality of sound. With permission of all of you, and of course of Mr. Lawson, please do not cross me out my name after this question. Could this instrument be considered the player piano of the 21st century? Thanks for your attention.